How you feeling?
Fine. How are you?
All is well. First and foremost, I want to thank you so much for coming on the platform. It's definitely an honor.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me. Where are you?
Now, let me see. Oh yeah, no doubt. Okay, yeah, I gotta let you know. I'm in Ghana. I'm in West Africa, so it's not as
Oh, wow.
technologically as advanced as the States. So we may get, yeah, we may get a little slow motion or disconnected, but it'll continue to record and it's pre-recorded, and I'll edit everything.
Okay, cool. Great. Great.
Yeah. Okay. Man, for the viewers who may not recognize you, could you please let them know who you are and definitely where you're from?
Sure. My name is Vincent Paterson. I'm a director and a choreographer. I live in California, and I'm originally from the other side of the country, from Pennsylvania. So, but I've lived in California for a long time and moved here because of the beautiful weather. And yeah, so that's where I am.
Okay, okay, cool, cool. Now I gotta ask you this. When did you develop a passion for film and choreography? Was that something you kind of got into simultaneously, or did one kind of come before the other?
Well, I grew up really poor in a really poor part of outside of Philadelphia, and my dad left when I was pretty young, and I was the eldest of five kids, so I kind of had to help my mom raise the family, and I needed an escape, and so my escape was going to join the theater in the high school and junior high school, and I really loved acting, and that's what I fell in love with first. So we had no money, so I worked really hard in college, in high school, to be able to go to college and get scholarships, and I did. And I thought I wanted to be a lawyer so I could be rich, but instead I got involved in the theater, and I started acting. And so I spent 4 years at Dickinson College in Pennsylvania as an actor and graduated with a degree in theater. And then I started traveling because I didn't like the cold weather, and I wound up in Arizona. And that was when I started taking my first dance class, which was, I guess I was almost 24 or just about 24 years old. I know it was late to start dance, but I don't know. I wanted to do it for exercise at first. And then I kind of fell in love with it. So I got addicted to dance and started really doing it all the time, and just loving what I did, and realizing that this was sort of my destiny, at least for that time, and that I had to move to California, to Los Angeles, if I really wanted to do it for real. So I came to Los Angeles, and I struggled and struggled for a long time, almost a year, auditioning for everything. And I finally got a job dancing on a TV show, and that was great. So then I danced for a long time, and then I slowly began to get into other projects, music videos. I was in some films, things like that, commercials, and I decided that I didn't really want to be a dancer anymore, that I wanted to be more in control, like I was an actor and a director back in college. So I started choreographing, and I really, really liked choreographing, and I did that for quite a while, and that took me into filmmaking. And long story, I know, but then I moved from choreography to directing, and yeah, so that's kind of the path of what's happened in my career.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, because a lot of people dream of, being able to do the things that they love to do and make money and travel the world and, make history. You've been a part of some of our favorite music videos, our favorite concerts and tours and things like that. So that's definitely inspiring. I can ask you, now what was that transition like going into the films and finally being on the West Coast and being around, like-minded people? Was it a culture shock for you, or was it an easy transition?
Well, No, like I said, it was a very difficult transition when I first moved here. I didn't have very much money at all. And I lived in a one-bedroom apartment, actually kind of down the street with a friend of mine and a girl who was a prostitute, basically. But they were really sweet to me, and they gave me a little place to live in the corner of the bedroom, and I had a duffel bag and a sleeping bag, and that's all I had to my name. And so I struggled really hard at the beginning. I took a lot of dance classes, and but I had made this crazy promise to myself that if I couldn't support myself by dancing, that I was going to quit. I was going to stop and try to do something else. I wasn't sure what, but I wasn't going to. I didn't want to be a dancer. I didn't want to be a dancer who was really a waiter, and called themselves a dancer. I thought if I want to be a dancer, I'm going to really work hard to be a dancer. And I was just about to quit because I was down to $35 and I hadn't eaten in 2 days. And a friend took me to a restaurant and it said waiters wanted. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm not going to be in the arts anymore. I'm going to be a waiter. And when I went to apply, they said I had to come back at the end of the day. So when I thought, okay, I'll take my last dance class and then I'll come back at the evening and I'll apply to be a waiter. And when I went to take that dance class, I got a phone call, and it was from a choreographer who was doing a television program. And he said, "Hey, I heard about you and I need one more guy to be in my TV show. Can I come and watch you in class?" And I said, "Please, please come and watch me in class." So he came to watch me in class and he gave me my first job. And then I knew that, okay, if the universe is looking down on me and telling me that this is what I'm going to do, then this is what I'm going to do. So yeah, so I started dancing and doing little things, doing commercials and stuff like that, and then I got my first really big break, dancing in Michael Jackson's "Beat It" as one of the gang leaders, and that was great, and that was right at the beginning of music videos, and because it was Michael Jackson, I got a lot of attention, and millions of people saw me, and I got offered to do more projects and things like that, and yeah, so that's kind of what happened in the transition of going from a struggling artist to a working dancer in Los Angeles.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. That is truly amazing. Now I can ask you, what was it like working with Michael Jackson, especially at that time? It just seemed like he was just this icon, he was just blowing up. So if you could just talk about that, just being behind the scenes and watching his career take off, and because you was in multiple videos, like you say, you started with Beat It, but you was involved in Thriller and a couple other videos. If you could talk about that.
I did. Well, yeah, I had to audition at the beginning, and I auditioned for Beat It, and I got it and I played the gang leader opposite Michael Peters, an incredible choreographer who choreographed Beat It, and he was a good friend of mine. But I had to audition. Michael Jackson picked the dancers that he wanted, so I was Michael's Peters' assistant on Beat It as well, and Michael Jackson at that time was very, very shy, and he was just kind of beginning his solo career. So he had done Billie Jean, and that went really well, but he had never really been choreographed. And so he came in, and he was shy, but he was so sweet, and he learned the work really fast, and he practiced and practiced and practiced. So when we got with all the rest of the guys who were going to perform in the music video, well, Michael Jackson called them short films. He came in, and it was like he had gone home and practiced for the whole 2 days or something, because he knew everything perfectly. So we shot Beat It, and that went great. It was huge. And then the next big project came, and that was Thriller. And Michael Peters was again asked to choreograph it. And he asked me again if I would be his assistant choreographer. And I got to be a dancing zombie. And so I was an assistant to him and a dancing zombie in Thriller. And that was really, really fun. And, they put all this makeup on our face, and they made special teeth for us. And it was incredible. And Michael Jackson was, that was like almost a year later, I guess. And, he had really started to become Michael Jackson. He had started to understand who he was as a performer, a solo performer outside of his family and his brothers. And, still so sweet and so kind and hard worker, worked so hard all the time, always working, but loved to have fun. I mean, when we did Thriller, when we were in rehearsals for Thriller, Michael Jackson and Michael Peters and me, one day Michael Jackson came in with monster makeup all over his face. And he said to Michael Peters and me, "Okay, let's go to the mirror and let's make scary faces in the mirror." So we went to the mirror, and for like half an hour or something, we were like, making scary faces in the mirror and laughing so hard and having such a great time. Um, yeah, and then that was the last that I danced in a project for Michael Jackson. After that, I just started choreographing them and directing them. And um, do you want me to kind of list what I did?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I I'll see if I can remember. I created the concept and I choreographed Smooth Criminal, including that crazy lean, boom boom. I created all of that in my head and made that happen. I also choreographed, oh my gosh, The Way You Make Me Feel, Black or White, Speed Demon, Dirty Diana. I created his appearance on the Grammys. Um, I directed a performance for him for MTV 10th anniversary. I directed and choreographed the Bad Tour. I directed and choreographed a short film called Blood on the Dance Floor. Uh, oh my gosh, I can't remember any. I know there were more things, but I can't remember them all. We did so many things together. We worked together for 17 years, from Beat It to Blood on the Dance Floor. And so it was an incredible time. And, he just kept getting, the sad part was, as he became more and more successful, more and more people wanted something from him. So he was constantly being pulled from one side to the other. And it made it a little bit more difficult for him to stay concentrated. And, but whenever we would work together, it was great. We had so much fun. And like I said, he was a hard worker. And at the same time, we loved to laugh. So we would work and work and work, and then we would laugh and laugh and laugh, and then we would work and work and work. And it was great. Every moment was incredible with Michael. He was a kind man. He never said anything negative about anybody. Um, if he didn't like something, like say he didn't like a costume, I'm just making that up, but say he didn't like something that someone brought in for him to wear, um, he would never say something like, "I don't like that," or "I hate that," or something. He would always say, "That's a really good idea, but I was thinking maybe we could try something like this." So he was always kind, and he always cared about people. And he was just an amazing person to work for, just amazing.
Wow, I really appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people, that's their favorite musician on earth, and they, would dream of even meeting them, let alone you've been able to work with them, like you say, for 17 years. Wow, that's amazing. And you are equally a part of those projects, some of our, like I say, favorite songs and videos. So I want to thank you, for helping them get to that level.
Thank you, Tay. You're welcome. I mean, it was a joy for me. It was hard work, and it was a lot of pressure, because when you're working with somebody who becomes that famous and the world is looking at him so closely, you have to always challenge yourself as a creative person. And Michael always said to me, "Vincent, I just want you to do something the world has never seen before. And I want you to do it for the fans, because the fans are the people that make me who I am. And the fans love me and I love them. And so whatever we do, it has to come from the heart, because it's for the fans. And that's what he would always say. Well, for an artist, Tay, the best thing that you could be asked is to create something that the world has never seen before. So many people say, I want you to make something like I saw in that other movie or in that other video. And I never took those kind of jobs, because after working with Michael Jackson and with Madonna, both of them wanted me to create something completely new every time. And though there was a lot of pressure in doing that, you couldn't ask for anything better as an artist. They paid you well. They gave you freedom to be as creative as you could be, and they were appreciative of what you did. So it was glorious. It was really glorious.
Wow, wow. You just mentioned another icon, Madonna. Now, you were actually a part of her tour, one of her biggest tours. If I could ask you, if you could talk about that experience and what was that transition like, going from like music videos to actually doing tours? Was it a similar situation or is it like totally different in terms of, your role?
Well, yeah, film and live touring are totally different. Live touring was a little easier for me in a way, because I told you I came from the theater. So putting together a tour is more like creating a piece of theater. And and I love them both very much. I mean, directing Michael's first tour, and then I Madonna had called me and asked me if I would co-direct with her, both of us equal, and if I would choreograph the Blonde Ambition tour. And I said, yeah. She had somebody she was already using, and then she had to let that person go because they weren't really creating anything that she liked. I guess I don't know exactly why, but so they asked me to come in, and I came in, and it was kind of crazy. I only had 3 weeks to create, like, I think 17 or 18 songs completely from nothing, and that was nuts. So I would take a song, and I would make a cassette. In the old days, we had tape recorders with cassettes, and I would put the song and I would record it maybe like 30 or 40 times. And then I would put the headphones in, I would put the headphones on my head at nighttime before I fell asleep. And I would let that song play as I fell asleep, and it would play for 30 or 40 times. And then I would wake up in the morning and I would have the whole idea and even the choreography in front of my eyes. And I would go into the studio and I would teach it to my assistants, and then I would teach it to the dancers and the singers. And then Madonna would come in and I would teach it to her. And we did that day after day after day. And it was crazy. But I'm so proud of that tour, because we basically, Madonna and I and all the people involved, had the opportunity to change what pop tours were about. Before that, it was just, the singer came out with the band and they didn't have dancers. I think David Bowie did in one tour, but with Madonna, she wanted it to be a theatrical experience. And that was my first love. So that's what I did with her with the Blonde Ambition tour. And it's always great to, really be able to create the first of something. So that was a first, creating the new kind of pop tour. And now that's the kind of pop tour everybody does. And the other thing with Michael that was so great for the first time was, and maybe you see it there, I don't know, but in the United States, we have a big football game called the Super Bowl. And it happens one time a year. And they asked Michael to perform at the Super Bowl. Usually they used to have marching bands, like with girls with batons and all kinds of instruments marching up and down the field during the halftime. But Michael and the director and I, Don Misher, and he was the director, and I totally changed halftime for the Super Bowl. And we made it about Michael and about a performance. And from that time, that's the way every single halftime has been, since that time in the 80s. So I was so lucky to have both of them, Madonna and Michael Jackson, allow me to change history. and make some new history. And now everybody follows that history. So those were two of the wonderful things that I did with them. I'm so grateful.
Wow, that's truly amazing because a lot of fans we take it for granted, even watching the Super Bowl or going to a concert, we see the show, but we don't realize how much work it takes to
Yeah.
create that 5 minute performance. Like you said, you had to listen to that song 40 times and you had to act it out, get wardrobe. It's a lot that go into it, but we don't understand that. And thank you for your contribution because the Super Bowl, that's like the biggest performance every year. You know what I'm saying? And you changed that. You helped contribute to changing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me see. Okay, now I want to ask you about Broadway a little bit more. If you could talk about that, some of the projects that you've been involved in, and what was your role in it, and are you still doing Broadway? Do you have any projects coming up?
Well, I only did one project on Broadway. It was a musical called Kiss of the Spider Woman. And I really loved doing it. It was I was nominated for a Tony Award for choreography. I didn't get it, but I was nominated, and that was nice. But since that time, I've not done anything else on Broadway, but I have directed musicals around the world. I directed the musical Cabaret in Berlin, Germany, and this year is the 20th year that it will be running. It's the longest running show in the history of Berlin. So that's very exciting. And I directed big musical of Evita in Vienna a few years ago, and that was really, really exciting. And I've directed a couple operas downtown Los Angeles and also in Berlin and Spain um, with an incredible woman, opera diva named Anya Netrebko. She's incredibly gifted. What a voice. And so I got to work with her, and we had really fun, and they were very successful operas. And now I'm working on an opera. I'm not an opera, sorry. I'm working on a musical about a Chinese legend. And I've been working on it. Usually they don't bring the director in until the whole musical is set and written and all of that. But I've been lucky because the producer asked me if I would come in early, like, 4 or 5 years early, and work with the writers and the composers and be able to make my contributions to what I think the piece should be about. So it's very, very exciting for me. And hopefully we're going to start casting by the end of this year, and it'll go up next year. And it has not only dance and movement in it, but it has a lot of martial arts. And I'm very excited about that. I've never been involved with a project with martial arts, but we're bringing in an incredible woman named Jade Xu from China. She lives in Las Vegas, and she's a wushu champion. She does the sticks and she does the swords, and she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and oh, she's an amazing woman. So she's going to come in and help choreograph all the martial arts stuff for us. And I just love having the opportunity to experiment with different kinds of things. So having been, worked in as an actor, worked as a dancer, worked as a choreographer, in commercials and music videos and live stage and theater and Broadway. It's just so much fun. My life changes all the time, and that's one of the things I like to do. Many people focus on just one thing, but I don't know. I like to just stay open and see what life presents itself to me, and then make a decision about whether I want to do that or not.
Wow, that definitely sounds amazing. I appreciate you sharing that. Now I can ask you this: by you having to be a part of performances in different countries, do you feel like that adds more pressure? And what is the reception from the different crowds around the world? Do you feel like some places are tougher outside of the United States, or is it more well received?
I think that, I mean, basically everything is the same. People are the same all over the world. People have different ways of working, different methods of working, as I have my own way of working. And so I try to bring to every project my honesty, and I try to assure the people that I'm working with, whether it's an actor or a dancer or a celebrity, that I'm there to make them look good and make the project look good. That it's not really about me so much, that it's about the project. And that's the most important thing. And all of us are just elements that are working together, whether it's in China or Italy or Japan or Germany or United States or Spain, um, Argentina, wherever it might be. I've never had the pleasure of coming to Africa yet. I hope I get to do that one day. But I just find that, you know, people are basically good. Most people are basically good, and most people who are in the arts really want to do a good job, and most of them are insecure. um, they, as hard as they work, they always want to be better. And so part of my, I don't want to say job, but part of my situation is that I try to create an environment where artists feel comfortable to experiment with their art, and that they can trust me and know that I try to act like a mirror to reflect what they're doing by giving them my opinion, and hopefully making them be the best that they possibly can be in that situation. So yeah.
Wow, definitely. I appreciate you going into detail about that so much. Now we got about 3 minutes left, so I want to ask you one more question. Now, have you been able to to document all of this, or have you thought about documenting all of this in a book, a documentary, maybe even a film or anything, so people can kind of get, I guess, a view of the other side of, the entertainment world? Because I'm sure you got a lot of great stories.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a documentary that was done about me. It was by a Swedish documentarian. It was done about, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. It's called "The Man Behind the Throne," and you can see that, I think, on YouTube. And also, I wrote a book, and let me see if I can find it for you. Hang on. Oh yeah. So I wrote a book, and it's called Icons and Instincts. It's backwards, I think, on your screen, but it's called Icons and Instincts. And you can see some pictures there with me with Michael Jackson, and me with Madonna, and me with Björk. And anyway, it's available on Amazon.com. And it's stories all about my life and my career, many stories about working with Michael and working with Madonna and working with some other incredible artists in the music world and in the film world and in the acting world. And I think it's a really good book. And everybody who's read it, or the people that have commented to me, have really, really enjoyed it. And Tay, the beautiful thing for me is that it seems to have touched people from all over the world. I mean, I receive emails from people in Saudi Arabia, people in Japan, people in China, people in Australia, as well as people in the United States and all over Europe, telling me that the book has really, if supported them as artists, and let them know that that if they work hard and if they focus, that anything can come true. Any dream can come true. I really believe this. If it could happen for me, a poor kid from the suburbs of Philadelphia, and it can happen to anybody if you work really hard and you focus and you dedicate yourself to whatever it is you want to do. If you don't hurt people, if you don't step on people to try to get what you want, if you're a good person in the world, I think that good comes back to you.
Yeah, yeah, true indeed. I really appreciate you coming on the platform. I'm definitely gonna have to check out that book. That's a must read for sure. And I want to thank you again so much for everything that you've contributed to the film, to the music, to the theater, to the tours. You really worked with some legendary people, and you helped elevate them and take them to the next level. And I want to thank the viewers for tuning in, most definitely.
Thank you, Tay. I appreciate it.
All right, all right. So it's been a phenomenal episode of Taye Speaks. So until next time.
Okay. Take care, man.
All right.